You are 19 years old. The year is 1835. The school is four walls, a roof, a teacher who has memorized more Sanskrit texts than you will read in your lifetime. Today the teacher does not speak when you arrive. A man in London named Thomas Babington Macaulay wrote a document he had never read a Sanskrit text in his life. You sit in your last Sanskrit class and the teacher finally looks up. What was lost in that room was not just a language. It was the key to everything that came before it. They took the wealth. In the year 1700, India accounted for approximately 27% of the entire world's economic output. Muslin so fine, it was called woven air. The British East India Company arrived in the 1600s. It came as a trading partner. Within 100 years, it had an army, the Battle of Plassey. Robert Clive defeated the Nawab of Bengal through deliberate betrayal. The treasury of Bengal was emptied, approximately $45 trillion. Transferred, not traded, not invested. Taken, the weavers of Dhaka, the finest craftsmen in the known world, lost their market in a generation, the Industrial Revolution. Powered in significant part by capital extracted from India, they took the land. Rajan has farmed the same land his grandfather farmed. He wakes up a tenant on land that now legally belongs to a man he has never met, the permanent settlement. Zamindars given ownership of land that had belonged to communities for centuries. 10 million people died. 1/3 of the population of Bengal. The British administration continued collecting taxes during the famine. During the Great Famine of 1876, India was exporting food to Britain while Indians starved. They took the knowledge Macaulay's minute on education. The goal was to create Indians who were English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. The university at Nalanda housed 10,000 students. Libraries of 9 million manuscripts, Bakhtiar Khilji, in 1193. The libraries burned for 3 months. Aryabhata calculated the Earth's circumference. With an error of less than 1%, Brahmagupta developed the concept of zero. Madhava developed calculus 2 centuries before Newton. The British education system described Europeans as the original discoverers. Sushruta performed cataract surgery and rhinoplasty techniques that would not appear in European medicine for 1,000 years, the Iron Pillar of Delhi. Standing since the 4th century CE, has not rusted in 1,600 years. They took the systems, the stepwells of Gujarat, the tank irrigation systems of South India, sustaining millions without central authority. The British replaced them with centralized systems that required British administration to function. The Hundis, a bill of exchange system, more sophisticated than anything Britain had when they arrived. They took the confidence, the colonial mentality, the internalization of the colonizer's valuation of the colonized a civilization that had produced Chanakya, and Aryabhata and Sushruta begins to measure itself against European standards. Macaulay wanted Indians who were English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. He succeeded enough, what they never gave back. In 1947, the British left a boundary drawn by a man named Cyril Radcliffe, who had never been to India before and never returned after the Kohinoor diamond sits in the Tower of London. Britain has declined to return it. The Amritsar Massacre. 1,650 rounds. Into a crowd with no exits. What survived? They could not take the Vedas. 0 is still 0. The decimal system still runs every computer on the planet. The Bhagavad Gita has been translated into more languages than almost any other text. The young scholar who sat in his last Sanskrit class did not stop being Indian when the class ended. He carried the memory of what it felt like to be inside a tradition that stretched back further than anything the man in London had ever imagined. He said them anyway. That is what they could not take, and that is what was never lost.